Welcome to the Saturday Morning Block Party Podcast. We'd be at the top of iTunes if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Halloween's just around the corner, so what better time to talk about Scooby Doo? For those of you who have just escaped Amish country and don't know what Scooby Doo is, it's a very long-running franchise about 4 kids and a talking dog who go around the country solving mysteries. It's a really strange franchise when you really think about it. What are these kids driving across the country for? Where are their parents? How are they paying for stuff? But we're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff today. We're going to be talking about the different incarnations, the movies. Now, when I started recording this, I expected it to be in one part, but we had such a good conversation that it ended up being in 2. So today, we're going to be talking mainly about the latest and best incarnation of Scooby Doo, which is called Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. We're going to be very spoiler heavy in this discussion, so if you haven't watched it, then 1, you should go watch it now, definitely. And you should go to our part 2, which is coming out this Wednesday. Talking with me is XLR. I'll see you again at the end of the episode. I hope you enjoy. Besides Mystery Inc., because we're going to talk about that all by itself later, what was your favorite incarnation of Scooby Doo?
Probably What's New Scooby Doo. That one had the most kind of, I want to say, depth to the characters, but it had the best like atmosphere too. You know? Yeah. New Age Scooby Doo with the New Age music. I don't know. It felt like everyone was trying to do every cartoon felt like it was trying to do their own version of a 2000 cartoon. Like, oh, we're now hip for the kids now. You know, we're trying to spruce everything up.
Hey, look at us kids. We have Simple Plan.
Yeah, Simple Plan, and if you check like Kids WB, like it felt like almost every aesthetic was oh, we're now hip, we're huge, yeah.
And that's funny because Mystery Inc. actually did the opposite. They went for a retro aesthetic.
Exactly. That's why I like What's New Scooby Doo so much, because it was just so much of a change and like, I guess you could say the direct to DVD movies were also kind of played canon into that, but those are just so off the walls too.
Yeah, I really like What's New Scooby Doo compared to a lot of the older shows because it looked a lot cleaner. The colors were a lot brighter. It had modern animation instead of that Hanna-Barbera 1960s, 1970s, 1980s animation.
Yep, I agree. Because the animation, that was a really that really sucked me in as well. And it feels like that's the only Scooby Doo incarnation to actually play on Cartoon Network. Yeah, because even as a kid, looking at Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, it was very off-putting the way it looked. Yeah, the budget was like 50 cents, I'm thinking.
Funny, because now I'm finding myself more attracted to cheap animation done traditionally rather than cheap animation done in Flash.
Yeah, exactly. It's more classic. It has a classic feel, and you can kind of more appreciate it better.
Yeah, plus they can't get away with doing stuff like tweening.
Yep.
My favorite incarnation besides Mystery Inc. was a pup named Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah, that was the best. I feel like that was the best baby incarnation of anything.
I love how the personalities were a lot more fleshed out than a lot of the more standard Scooby Doo ones.
Oh yeah, I kind of like how Fred was a paranormal psychic person, you know, and that that felt like it gave Fred like more of a reason to be in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I really identified with Fred because when I was little, I was also really into conspiracies and aliens and monsters and stuff like that. And plus that really goes into why is this kid so interested in solving mysteries? Oh, he loves paranormal stuff, supernatural stuff. That really fits right in. That makes sense.
It's just, it made sense. It fits. Because, like, you know, Fred, he was always, you know, just the guy. It's like, monsters aren't real. Monsters aren't real. So, you know, it would be kind of boring. But it was nice to see that he did believe in monsters in this one.
And I loved how this show, you know, made fun of a lot of the tropes and the formulas that the other Scooby-Doos have.
Yeah, with the doors and the music.
Yeah, in a lot of the older Scooby-Doo incarnations, there were a lot of chase scenes where, you know, it was every single episode they'd have a scene where a monster was chasing them and they'd have some pop song in the background. Some character would have a boombox, they'd turn it on and say, hey, we need the music here.
Oh, yeah. That was, every time the music, like, hit, it would be a chase scene, which is, they also made fun of that in the Blair Witch Project, Scooby-Doo, if you ever saw that.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was kind of, I don't remember if it was like a short. I just know they played like it between commercials like way back in the day on Cartoon Network. It was a Halloween thing because it led up to that because they're playing movie marathons, show marathons, and then it was just a Blair Witch party at the end of it all because it was just like it showed just them in real life. It had their animation, like they're all animated, but it was like they were in real life setting, and they were doing the theme of the Blair Witch Project.
Was it animated in found footage style?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's really cool. I have to check that out.
Yeah, they were all holding a camera and everything, and then they found the part where it was like they found us on the house, and they're like, hey, maybe we're on the radio, and then they turn on the radio, and then there's music. Like, oh no, well, it's time for a chase, and they all just start running. Oh yeah, Freddy's like arch nemesis that he always blamed.
Yes, I love red herring. It's really clever because, if you don't know, a red herring is a term for something like a false clue that's made to put you off the trail. And the running gag was that in every single episode except one, when they were trying to figure out who the monster was, Fred would always say, "It's red herring." And in the single episode where he didn't say that, it turned out to be red herring all along. And Fred gets mad because there's one time he would have been right. He didn't say it.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to say it. That was the thing. I remember that he wasn't allowed to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Daphne was like, "Don't say it, don't say it." I think it was like a bet or something. I don't remember if it was a bet or something, but he just wasn't allowed to say it for like the whole episode. And then it was red herring, and I think it was the episode where Scooby got kidnapped.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember watching that episode like late at night, and I don't know. That's the only episode of Pup Named Scooby that legitimately creeped me out.
So, any more thoughts on A Pup Named Scooby Doo?
I feel like the Puppet Pals. You remember the Puppet Pals?
No, tell me about it.
Okay, basically, it's one of the newer Scooby Doo movies. It came out 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago, in July, and it was basically just a puppet version of Pup Named Scooby Doo, and it wasn't that good. Like, it was laughably bad, but I mean, I appreciated the Scooby Doo, but it just kind of fell flat, and it was a form of puppets, and yeah.
Shaggy, Scooby-Doo, get a clue! We're on the road again with each other till the end. I'm gonna sing this song all day long. Two friends on the run, making trouble, having fun. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, get a clue. While I'm hanging with the Scoob, Shaggy's watching tunes. I'm gonna sing.
Have you ever watched Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue?
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
What did you think of that?
It was nice how they tried to mix it up. I liked how it wasn't mystery solving, but which is odd because my favorite episode was when it was like a mystery reunion. It was showing all the best mystery solvers ever, and Shaggy and Scooby were invited there. Favorite episode, which is strange because I was happy that they're trying to have a different approach, but ultimately I don't like the style of that show. I don't like the animation.
I thought it was weird that, and I don't know if they explained that in the episode, but I thought it was weird that they invited only Shaggy and Scooby, but not Fred, Velma, and Daphne to that convention.
I don't think they ever did explain that. I was listening, maybe they did, but nope, they never explained that. They were all like, guys are like, and no, it's funny because they were making fun of them. It felt like a roast, actually.
Wow.
They just lower them there to roast them and make fun of them. They're like, "You guys are the worst detectives ever." It's like, why'd you invite us? What the hell?
I liked the show all right when I was little when it was out, because, I watched it when it was coming on WB 20, what was it? Kids WB, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's a very strange Scooby-Doo. You who don't know, the plot of this show is that Shaggy inherits his uncle's fortune, after he goes missing, and Shaggy and Scooby find this underground lab where it turns out his uncle has been doing a lot of genetic experiments, and these experiments come in the form of Scooby snacks that when Scooby eats them, he gets to transform, like he can fly or become a bulking monster or something. I don't really remember much, but That's really strange.
Yeah, like the show, it like I like the direction they were going in. Like, oh, make Scooby Doo like really big, like because I guess the people saw like, okay, we're tired of all the mass pulling and just mystery solving. Like, let's give Scooby a better like an action. I like the different transformations; those were pretty interesting. But I just didn't really like the whole super spy thing. I don't know. I just missed. My favorite episodes were the one where like the episodes with the there was an episode where Shaggy and Scooby rented a DVD, and I guess the monsters just came real in that DVD, and then so Scooby and Shaggy were just terrified. But then they realized, oh, we can fight these monsters, and I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, I don't know how well it holds up today because I haven't watched it since it aired on TV. But I'm not mad at them for trying. I don't think it was a bad show, and it's nice. They tried something new, and it turned out okay, I guess.
I like the game change. Like, my favorite Scooby-Doo series have to be like the ones that change the formula. Sure, I like to go back and watch Scooby-Doo Where Are You, just for laughs and all. I like the ones that change. Like, I agree. I don't know how the rest of the show held up, even though I marathoned it like a couple years back. I just watched every episode. And I watched every episode, and I remember the ending. Like, have you seen Space Dandy?
Yes.
And have you seen the finale?
Yes. Glorious.
That finale is basically the same finale as Scooby-Doo, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. I kid you not.
I have to see that.
I kid you not. It was the same premise.
Woo! Okay.
Same premise. I kid you not.
So, have you seen I guess it was an article about an upcoming version of Scooby-Doo called Be Cool Scooby-Doo?
I remember seeing the article card for it.
What do you think about that?
I think it honestly. I say Mystery Incorporated was the best Scooby-Doo incarnation ever, and it should have just stopped right there, and maybe rebooted in a few years. But I mean, I don't know what this one is going to be about. Like, I feel like any series is going to be a step down from Mystery Incorporated. That's my thing.
Yeah, I looked at the article, and there were a lot of red flags to me. Like, one of them is that it's a super simplistic, it looks kind of like what College Humor, those animated shorts that they do. And in the description, they said that the mystery gang is dressing in their original clothes because that kind of looks like what hipsters are wearing. That's another red flag. They use the word hipster. And they also use the word edgy. That's another red flag. And by saying it's not going to be meta or anything, but somehow... And the art style wouldn't bother me as much if I thought it was going to be a goofy show, kind of like a pup named Scooby-Doo, but from the description, it kind of sounds like they want to be taken more seriously than Mystery Inc.
And in my opinion, that's impossible, because Mystery Inc., that was mind-blowing. The ending was mind-blowing to Mystery Inc. Like, the whole series was mind-blowing. But I don't know, like, I feel like it's trying to date itself. It's going to date itself. Like, they're calling themselves hipsters and everything. It's basically date itself, and it kind of looks like Seth MacFarlane designed the show.
I totally agree with you about how nothing is ever going to top Mystery Inc. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but after I saw the ending of Mystery Inc., I just felt like if they never make another Scooby-Doo thing ever, I will be totally fine.
Yeah, I think that was a proper send-off. I think Mr. Crook was the proper send-off for any Scooby-Doo related fan thing. Like, for fans, it was wonderful. And even for newcomers, it was great. Like, people who aren't really into Scooby-Doo liked it, too.
Like K-Ghoul 101.4, what can we scare up for you, Daddy-O?
You're all doomed.
Like who? Who is this?
You can call me Mr. E. You should never have brought that locket out of the cave. You don't know what you've uncovered.
Uncovered? Uncovered what?
A truth that should have remained hidden. The truth behind the curse of Crystal Cove. The real mystery has just begun.
Mystery Incorporated is a reboot of the Scooby-Doo franchise, and I was really put off by this back when it first came out because I was in that 90s came out, new cartoons suck, and plus I really didn't like how instead of living in Coolsville, they were in this new town called Crystal Cove, and I didn't like how they thought that they could reboot a show with a floating timeline. That would be like rebooting The Simpsons. But anyway, the Mystery Inc. gang is in high school. They're, I think, 16 or 17, and these kids like to solve mysteries. That's what they like to do. I think it was really funny how the way the kids described mystery solving is kind of sounding like a trend, but really they're the only ones who like to do it. I thought that was pretty unique, and there's an overarching plot, and that's different from other Scooby-Doos because none of the other shows had an overarching plot. It was purely episodic. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about spoilers because this deserves to be discussed. If you haven't seen the whole thing, go see it.
Stop watching this and go see it right now. Just stop. Turn this off. Oh, now.
You can skip to...
So, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, best one ever. Like, you can make any goofy show and turn it epic in a good way. Would you agree? Like, it got really dark in some points, but in the good way. Like, it wasn't forceful dark. It was more genuine dark. It was dark for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, people died. At least 2 of them.
Yeah, like, and this is Scooby-Doo. Like, this is, if you watch this, you're thinking Scooby-Doo goofy. He's a goofy dog. He pops out of like barrels and goes, where'd they go? Where's Scooby's like, And then you're watching, it's like, oh my God, Nazi robots.
Marcy, no.
Yeah. Just Marcy. Oh God, poor Marcy. But Marcy, she was the best. She was probably the best character in the show.
Did you ship Marcy and Velma?
Not really, but I wasn't against it.
I ship it. And I don't ship often, so that's saying something.
It was a good, I like the lesbian undertone. I mean, and it didn't feel that forced like Adventure Time, even though that's canon now.
It's technically canon because executives don't want to do that. But anyway, how did you feel about the, actually recurring cast? Because usually in other Scooby-Doo shows...
Yeah, I really enjoyed the whole aesthetic of the town. Like, the town, it really had character. Like, you had to like the whole town. Like, okay, yeah, these guys are okay, but I don't know, the town just really. I liked the plot. I like how they all played a part in it all. Even the parents, they even played parts. I like how they focused on the parents too in some episodes, but you really don't get to see much of Shaggy or Fred or Emma's parents or Daphne's, or but it was nice to see how they actually played a part in the show, because usually it would be like these kids are going to these far lengths just to solve one mystery, and their parents, you didn't get to hear anything about their parents. Like, wow, their parents just kind of let them just go all the way to who knows where, just meet some ghost, like, and they weren't concerned. But it was really, I really enjoyed the realism to that.
Yeah, and I love how they explain this decades-long question of, what are these kids doing out here? How old are they? But at the very end of Mystery Inc., it shows that when they're traveling cross-country solving mysteries, they're doing that because they're taking a road trip to the college they're going to in the fall. And I thought that was a very good way to explain it.
I thought the ending was perfect, because I had a friend ask me, so now that they ended it, like, why like did they ended it? Like, are they going to continue? Like, oh, basically the ending? Just watch Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That's the continuation. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That was a continuation. Like, because now it made sense. Like, they actually made everything in Scooby-Doo canon and kind of connect in a way. And if you think about it, they actually referenced the live action movies a bit in this one.
They do a lot of references to older Scooby-Doo shows and Hanna-Barbera, because I remember in one episode they were in the museum that Velma's parents run, and It was just really funny. If you are a fan of Scooby-Doo throughout the years, it's going to be a real treat. Well, actually, first of all, in the first episode, I think, they're in the museum and they're looking at a bunch of the classic Scooby-Doo monsters like the Miner 49er or that one robot. And Velma is explaining how each of them were just fakes. And then later on, they're in the museum. They see a statue of Flim Flam from Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts. It's so bad. It's so sad he went to life for prison.
Oh yeah, that was wow. I didn't know like wow, that was dark. Like what did he do? Was my question. What did he do? Did he con it? Like I remember he was a con artist. That was his thing. But wow, they must not be messing around. They must have. Did they hang him or something? Oh my god, that's terrifying.
How do you have a kid life in prison?
What did he do? I just want to know what he did. Someone give him a spin-off series. He deserves a spin-off series. I want to know what led up to that.
They saw an exhibit with Scrappy, and Daphne was like, "Hey, isn't that?" And then Fred just stopped her and like, "No, we agreed never to talk about."
Oh yeah, people like to speculate. Like, oh, that was from the movie.
You know, I can see that.
The live action movie. Yeah, like they were like, yeah, he went psycho. But in my opinion, I actually like Scrappy for like the longest time. I actually defended Scrappy because I grew up with him. Like he was maybe one of my first. I think he was one of my first introductions to Scooby Doo. Like I think I watched the Boo Brothers movie. That was my first Scooby Doo movie ever. And like I actually for like the longest time.
Yeah, I like Scrappy
I was like,
too.
oh, poor
when
Scrappy.
I was a little kid, all the time I would say, "Puppy, pop."
I named my first dog after Scrappy.
That's amazing.
And then he ended up running away, so I just assumed he didn't like the name.
Yeah, and did you like the other Hanna-Barbera references they made?
Oh yeah, the episode where all the sidekicks met, like all the mascots.
Yeah,
I thought that was amazing.
What he's talking about is one episode when the gang was supposed to go to the national contest for teenagers who solve mysteries with, I guess, something that talks that should. Yeah, Scooby had a dream, and inside of the dream, everything was animated and drawn in the classic Hanna-Barbera art style because, you know, the rest of Mystery Inc. is a totally new art style, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but Scooby teamed up with Captain Caveman, the Funky Phantom, Jabberjaw, and I think Dune Buggy.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best ones ever because it was like, in my opinion, amazing how they just combined it all day, and it really raised the question: what exactly do we do? It raised that question, like, what do we do? We're just kind of here. Like most of them are like a talking car. Like that's pretty amazing, in my opinion. That's like, wow, guys, you have a talking car. Like if I was a monster, I just want an episode of Speed Buggy. Is that a talking car? How? Or Jabberjaw. They have a shark. They should be using a shark that's on land. Like they should be using that to their advantage. Like sick him, Jabberjaw, and then Jabberjaw. And then, like he's scared too. It's like, what are you scared of? You're the shark. Or Captain Caveman. Captain Caveman is just amazing. Like he can do anything. And if you think about Captain Caveman, he's just that's basically Steven Universe. That's Steven Universe. If you just think about it, that's Steven Universe.
Yup, that's the show.
What Rebecca Sugar says, like, oh, my brother, no, you stole this from Captain Caveman. It's a reboot.
And speaking of things that talk that shouldn't, they really put in a lot of work in this show to kind of explain Scooby-Doo because in all the other Scooby-Doo shows, it just seemed like something that occurs in Scooby's family and no one seems to question it. But in Mystery Inc., over the entire series, they put things everywhere they put things in a lot of places over time to question that in this universe, talking animals is just something that occurs occasionally and everyone knows it.
Oh yeah, it was like, I really like how they did that. I guess now with cartoons evolving, the excuse, it's just a cartoon, isn't valid anymore. Like, why are you talking? It's just a cartoon. That's not valid. And then they explain, okay, Scooby is part of a generation of good animals that have the ability to talk, and it's just like, wow, wow. Like I just love that now. Like they're putting logic, and probably one of my favorite moments from Scooby Mystery Incorporated was when it was one of the earlier episodes, and Scooby was in class with Shaggy, Velma, and Daphne and Fred. They were just all sitting there in class, and then the teacher asked, "Why is there a dog in here?" I guess now Mission Incorporated. It's just one big fan letter. It's just like they ask the questions for you, so you don't have to go like, well, are they not going to explain this? Like,
To me, the best way to describe Mystery Incorporated is to say that it's a love letter to the Scooby Doo franchise and, to a lesser extent, Hanna-Barbera.
oh yeah, totally. I think it was meant for the fans. Like, it was definitely meant for the fans. Like the fans. And the fans love to make fun of the show. They're like, oh yeah, Scooby Doo's just goofy. It's just stupid. Like, it's stupid fun. But like Mission Incorporated, it told us like Scooby Doo can still be epic. You can still make it epic. And to be fair, Scooby Doo did in its history besides Mission Incorporated.
And there's just so much effort put into the show. You can really feel that the creative team on this show just has so much love and respect for Scooby Doo. They obviously grew up with the franchise, the movies, the shows. They were not at all lazy on this. They were totally intent on making the best show that they could make.
Yeah, it was truly one of the most Scooby Doo piece of media ever. Anytime I talk to anyone and they want me to recommend a show, I say Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. Like, it's like I got at least like 3 people to watch this show, and they say, "Oh, now I see why you love Scooby Doo so much." I'm like, awesome.
So obviously the first thing that people notice when they see the show, and probably the biggest thing that'll turn them off before they get a chance to really watch it, is the new art style. What do you think about that?
I think it's a nice simplistic look. I mean, it's nice and it looks kind of groovy. I guess they would put it just groovy.
Yeah, it's a bit jarring at first because you're just so used to this art style that they've been using for 60 years, say for a couple shows, but in the end, it really grows on me. It really grew on me. Plus, I just really love atmosphere that they create with all the dark colors. When they're trying to make a scary atmosphere, it does really well with the cool and dark colors. And, I'm not an art major, so this isn't the best description. I'm sure somebody who's a lot more educated could explain it better than I can, but it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, they really build up the spooky atmosphere with I think the episode that best showcased it was the crocodile.
Yeah.
Right. And really, I think that one was the episode that really hooked people on, because that was the episode that hooked me on. It was because it was so creepy. That was a legitimate one of the first of many dark episodes. You remember that scene where Scooby was in the van, and then you thought, whoa, Scooby might not make it out of this one. Like, he was on top of the Mystery Machine, and Holly oh man, it's like, oh my god, this is Scooby Doo. Or when the crocodile people were nearly gonna kill them, where there was the flashing strobing light effects. Wow, that was kind of creepy. That was the most intense scene in my opinion. And also, there's hints of incest in that episode.
Yeah, they really went all out and made these monsters really hardcore and intense, and they do it so well that it doesn't really bother me that putting on this costume makes this skinny guy be able to pick up a car or run through a wall. I don't care. Rule of cool.
Oh yeah, if this goes for any Scooby-Doo thing, but you ever notice in Scooby-Doo how if they ever unmask the monster, they just kind of stop. They give up. Okay, you got me. They don't ever try to struggle. They're just okay, I still have a chance. Nope. It's okay, I'm God. You can arrest me now. You got me.
Shame.
You see my face. There's no point. I could kill you all, but nope. You guys are all free to go.
And another thing this show does really well is that it's really a timeless show. They go with the retro. Everything looks like the 70s. And even though I don't think they don't really say an explicit time frame, and it could really take place anywhere, anytime. Well, not really anytime, but it feels like it. Most of the technology is retro, there's a lot of record players and tapes, and the computers are big and bulky, and the few times when they do have modern technology, like that episode when Fred had a smartphone.
Oh yeah.
He had apps on it. that didn't look like an iPhone or a Galaxy or anything. That just looked like a phone from the early 2000s.
Like a BlackBerry or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could say, like, yeah, the show is pretty timeless, but I like to think of this show as just, you know, it was more just paying homage to, like, you know, just the 70s in general. Like, there's, like Angel Dynamite. She was that was basically just, you know, a thing from the 80s. Like, she was just someone from the, 70s. I mean, like, she was just someone from the 70s, kicking around records and talking, like, with a jive accent, you know?
Yeah, she was amazing. Also, rest in peace.
Oh, no, like when she pulled out that shotgun, I was like, okay, Scooby just got real. Like, this is the Scooby I grew up with.
Oh, yeah, and the guns look like real guns, even though because, you know, it's modern day Cartoon Network, they shoot more or less what looks like lasers, but the guns look like guns.
All you can say is just, wow, like, why would they do that? Like, it's just, but it's amazing. It's amazing. It's truly, like, it's the adult Scooby Doo series. Like, it's the one for the fans. It's the epic series for the fans. It's the, like, and it's not an adult in the sense of the Scooby Doo movies where it's just kind of lame, you know?
Yeah.
It's generally creepy and suspenseful at times. Oh yeah, and going back to your lesbian undertones, like, there's another one. There's another thing that there's another point where they say, oh yeah, they're definitely lesbians. And you remember when Marcy joined the team? She there in the intro, she had a picture, like, usually where Daphne would be, you know how she has a picture of Fred?
Yeah.
It changes to Velma. So yeah. Oh, how much clearer they can make it.
Yeah, I'd rather have that be canon than bubbling.
Yeah, I think it's pretty canon. It's, well, literally, as the series was ending, like, they were playing on Fridays afternoons, and I think we all know, like, when the Cartoon Network shows put on Fridays afternoon, that's basically like, okay, it's dead. But little did Cartoon Network know, like, that it was the finishing of it. So they're like, got you there. We're finishing our show.
Yep.
At least it's getting, like, both seasons released on DVD. So I'm glad for it getting a full series release on DVD.
Yes, I was so glad when I realized that the show had gotten a proper ending.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I think it intended to go on long, you know, due to, like, you know, Cartoon Network being Cartoon Network. They were like, okay, I guess we can end it just like this, you know. But it was a good ending, nonetheless.
So what do you think of this show's interpretations of the Mystery Inc. gang's personalities?
I feel like Velma was a bit too bitter at times. I felt like she was a little bit too bitter, and I felt like Daphne still kind of remained useless to the team for a bit. But I really did. I liked the Shaggy and Scooby. They were always remain my favorite, so I don't have no complaints there. But I feel like they really improved on Fred. They actually gave him a personality, like a legit personality. You know, he has fears, hopes, dreams, and, you know, weaknesses. And he just, you know, he felt like a person this time around. He just didn't feel like, oh, he's Fred. There he is, you know, just a guy who drove the van.
You know, I actually think that this Velma is the best because usually whenever they try to flesh out Velma's character, it just defaults into the quiet, nerdy, socially awkward nerd girl. But in this, even though she can be very mean sometimes, like that one time when Shaggy was taking her to the sea captain, Shaggy told, because the guy's missing a nose, Shaggy told her, hey, don't ask about his nose, and she immediately asks about his nose.
Yeah, what's with the sniffer? Oh, yeah. But, yeah, no. I guess you could say Velma's the tsundere of the group.
No, she's
the tsundere of the group, and, you know, she's
Shaggy. I'm surprised that Cartoon Network let them have a character that was that horny in their show.
That was most people's OTP right there. People were like, oh my god, if I look at her, yeah. Me, I didn't really care. I was like, good for her. But I think her best moment with Shine was where she turned down Shaggy when he wanted to go out with her.
Yeah, because, you know, Shaggy really putting Scooby in front of her. And, you know, when you look at this, you have to consider that Scooby is a sentient animal. It's essentially like if a human best friend get in the middle of you and your boyfriend, how would you feel about that? So it's really understandable.
I like to call that growth right there. Like she could have had him right there, but nope. She said, if you're not going to put Scooby in front of me, like, there can't be a relationship. And I was like, good job.
Yeah, the only time I thought her personality was a little bit too overbearing was that one episode when Scooby gets arrested. Yes, that is an episode. Scooby goes to jail, but they're in the car. Shaggy's upset about it, but Velma's just like, hey, your dog's in jail. Let's go have sex. Well, she doesn't say that, but, that's what she means.
She was like, perfect time for me to have to myself like, oh yeah, when Scooby goes to jail, Orange is new Scooby, you could say.
That's what it called?
Yep, Orange is new. Look, if you think about it, that was basically a spin-off to Orange is the New Black. Wow. That was going to be a thing. Like, it just felt really off-putting, you know what I mean?
And I really like Fred in this series because before, his personality was basically he's a handsome grown-up Boy Scout. But in this one, he's kind of dim-witted, kind of like he was in A Pup Named Scooby Doo. But he had this huge talent for making traps, which was, the thing he did at the end of every Scooby Doo episode before. He made a trap to catch the monster. But in this series, the traps actually work. They don't capture the monster by dumb luck.
Yeah, I really love his whole trap personality. Like, I felt like that really gave him, like, motive. Like, usually his motive was, oh, my van. I love my van. It's the best van in the world. But the van takes a lot of punishment in this show. It gets blown up so many times. And you're just like, oh, no, this isn't fun at all.
And I love how he starts out oblivious to Daphne being really into him. And then over time, they get into the relationship. Because when you think of Fred Jones in the old sense, when he's growing up, you think, oh, this guy must be swimming in all the ladies. See, it must have no problem. But in this, he got no idea this girl thinks she's in love with him, and she's just so ready for him to ask her out on a date, and he's just oblivious.
Because in the other stuff, it was Fred always wanted to get with Daphne, and Daphne was sort of oblivious or uninterested. Like, this time the roles were swapped, and I really enjoyed that. Like, it was nice to see. It was nice to just see roles swapped, and I like when they kind of did get a relationship. It felt really genuine, and it didn't feel like too forced. Unlike Daphne, Velma and Shaggy's relationship.
And there's a lot more we could say about Mystery Inc., but let's move on.
Due to time restraints, we could be here all night talking about it.
It is really that great a show. Go watch it.
Go stop watching this. Go watch it. How many times do I have to tell you people go watch it? If you've seen it already, watch it a second time. There's not enough times you can watch this show.
And that was part 1 of our conversation on Scooby Doo. Part 2 is coming this Wednesday, so keep an eye out. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us, like us. We are the Saturday Morning Block Party Podcast. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. And we are most active on Tumblr. We blog daily about cartoon analysis, behind-the-scenes stuff, trailers, videos, and more. My guest co-host XLR makes videos about cartoons on YouTube. You can find his channel in the description. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.